Hello, everyone. It's Dr. Jordan, and we are back with week 3, and we will be talking about a whole systems approach, navigating the contracting meeting, and also your do outs for this week in your discussion and your problem solving. So let's go ahead and get started. So today I will be adopting some of this talk from the managementhelp.org website, where I think they do a great job of describing a whole systems approach. So let's get started. So first things first, whole systems approach and how I describe it in psychology is when you're not looking at just a person's behavior, just their background, just those who are involved in their life, but you're looking at all of the different aspects that could possibly have some sort of impact on that person's life, and making small changes here and there to change the entire whole. So the whole systems approach when it comes to organization is based on the premise that people will not accomplish significant change unless they have strong ownership in the approach to change. That in turn comes from each person's understanding the need for change, helping to articulate the vision for change, participating in the selection of the most suitable approach to accomplish the change, and doing his or her part to implement the change. So that is the entire system needs to be involved in accomplishing the change. So large-scale interventions are often done in a highly facilitated and collaborative manner with participants. So the need for whole system change is brought about by the organizations needing to respond to dramatic changes in its external environment. So for example, right now we're all going through COVID, which is affecting, every single part of our society in any kind of way you can imagine. Whole systems approach is based on a whole systems thinking that I was sharing with you about from a psychology standpoint. And it's that the parts of the system are all connected and therefore influence each other. In turn, all systems are connected, comprising a much large whole, including collaborations, communities, and societies. So as you begin to flesh out the problems that your client may be dealing with, I really want you to think about how are you going to approach this. I would highly encourage this whole systems approach to the problem. I really don't think you can turn one knob in a certain area without it affecting another area, whether it be positive or negative. So truly really think about that. And as you dive into the managerial consulting textbook, especially in chapter 9, what does your approach, your model that you're going to go, what does it look like? What are the pros and cons? Okay. All right. So we are going to go on to our next piece, and that is, okay, now that we know how we're going to approach this problem, we need to begin to talk about how we're going to have this conversation in the contracting meeting. So no one likes to sell. We all know it. It sounds a little, slimy, like car salesy. But the truth is, sales is just really, and especially during the contracting meeting, is really just building a relationship. And so adopting this model from Block, from his Flawless Consulting book, I'd like to share with you, screen share here, with you the process that would be very essential. Feel free to screenshot this or even Google it as a resource to put into your toolbox. So here we have the process for navigating the contract meeting by Peter Block down here. So that first piece is personal acknowledgement. And actually, I'm not going to go through and say each one of these, but I really want you to screenshot this and put it in your consulting toolkit as a very good tool on how do you have this conversation with the stakeholder that's going to give you the yes or the no, or those who will be affected by the decisions that you'll be making as part of the solution. You want to have some personal acknowledgement, your role in this. Communicate an understanding of the problem. Remember, we talked about that, the importance of that problem statement back in week 2. Remember to state also the client's wants and offers, what's in it for them, how will they benefit, and remember that quantitative and qualitative piece that we talked about. And then what are your wants and offers? What is it that you need from them? Is it people? Is it money? Is it resources to ensure that you can bring this um, uh, to fruition. And then you have, so you have step 1, step 2, step 3, and step 4 here. But then step 5 can go either way, which is very interesting. So you have the agreement piece on step 5. You guys agree. Then they ask for feedback on control and commitment. You ask for that, actually. And then they give support, you give support, and then you just restate the actions. It can go that way. But then there's another way that it can go, and we can get stuck on the wants and the offers. And so what do you do then? You think maybe you need to go to lunch, maybe take it for some coffee, and then you come back with some new wants and offers. You begin a negotiation process, but then you may get stuck again. But then you really want to process how you're handling the discussion. Is this fruitful? Is there a lot of pushback? Why is there pushback? This goes back again to what we talked about, getting to the root, the belly of that problem. Ask questions, get clarity, find out, why is it that you're being stuck? And by the end of that conversation, hopefully you will know if you should continue this conversation, exchange the wants and offers, or you just need to go ahead and terminate this engagement. So again, take a screenshot of this, take a picture of this, and this is your agenda basically on having the conversation about what your next steps are with your client. Let's stop screen share there. So now that you've identified the problem, now that you've had your contracting meeting, you have some ideas about what the solutions are, how those things are going to play out. You guys have met, and you've decided these are the resources, the people, the things, the money that you need in order to carry out, your duties in partnership with them. But then there's this piece, how are you going to collect the data? So we have a qualitative way of collecting data, and that would be through surveys, through focus groups, through interviews with the different stakeholders. And then you have this quantitative way of collecting data, and that would be, through assessments, measuring where people are, and then, maybe in 6 months measuring them again on that same, using that same assessment. It's very important that you know how and why you're going to collect the data that you're going to collect. Make sure that it's tying back to the original goals that you set, but also make sure it's something that is doable. Do you want to do a focus group with 5 different, teams within your organization? Maybe for an organization like Accenture, which is a global consulting firm, maybe not, but maybe a small boutique consulting firm, maybe that is doable. So, definitely look at your own situation and your own strengths, and determine which of these will be better for you to ensure that you have the data you need to implement your solutions. I hope this was very helpful for you, covering what a whole systems approach is, looking at what the consulting process looks like, and how you're going to collect this data once you have the go-ahead. So I'm looking forward to see what you have in the discussions. Be well and have a great day.